great, but oh well. Good music though. Let's do Gabe Castro first. Yes, here we go. Let's zoom in a bit. I always forget to. Let's do that first. And I will leave Nimbus going for a moment. We'll look at the site first. So Gabe Castro. Ah, there's Logan. What's up? Yeah, Logan is next week. All right. So Gabe Castro worked on The Freaking Forest. That's a legit title right there. I don't know any of these other games. I don't think. Maybe Pirate Bash? Oh, DNA. Yeah, I have heard of this game. And the rest, no. Oh, Portlandia, sure. Cool. Alright, so Gabe Castro is a Los Angeles-based musician. Were you at Game SoundCon, man? That's a question, because that was in LA, huh? Did I meet you and I'm completely forgetting this? Because, yeah, that's your hometown, man. If you didn't go, I question why. Got the reels here, got credits. Pretty good, easy to look at. I like it. Contact me, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and boom, got it. So the page is... Oh, this isn't the links. I think these were links. Weird. I kind of like how it's all one place, but I think I want to have a reel at the top, man. Reels are here. I don't know. It's not a big deal. I think it's like the argument can be made either way, as far as having all your stuff up front. This is nice too. I like this. Although you can do this and you can queue it up. See. We're QAing your site right now. I think that this is, I was going to say the argument can be made that this is a really effective kind of front page. Being like, look, I'm experienced. And that's kind of a good way to bring people in. But yeah, Gabe saying I couldn't decide if Reel's on top or not. I think it's, I mean, for those of you just joining us for the first time or who haven't been here for a while, we do often push having your Reel like first thing, you know? And being that, or rather the motivation being that people tend to spend not much time on websites. I think our site, I've been saying before that it usually caps out at like 90 seconds and then people leave. And it's not because like it's a bad site, it's because people just get what they need, get what they came for and they leave, right? Like they don't need to read every word on the page, of course not. So knowing that people don't spend very much time on the site, you need to kind of gamble a bit, or rather you need to avoid gambling if possible as far as them seeing what you want them to see. So if you want someone to see, for example, your sound design reel or your music reel or whatever, then putting it down here is an immediate risk as opposed to here. But this is really good because you've got experience. So seeing this right away, like, oh, okay, The Forest right up top is a pretty well-known title. Or, I mean, is it? I know it because I think it's BC made. Is that why I know it? I'm pretty sure it's a pretty well-known project, isn't it? Let's see this. I'm on Steam Spy here. Let's have a look. Yeah, owners, like 2.4 million owners. Look at this. Seen this? Maybe you can read that or not. Players total. That's a big number right there. Can you see that? That is a lot of owners. So, having this up front, killer. So this kind of like is the, okay, I want to see more. Because as we were saying, the whole reason for having the reel up front is because you want to gain people's attention now and then hold it so that they want to see more about you, right? We've had some people have like their bio first, or just some, I don't know, some portfolio stuff that isn't really that notable, like Game Jam games, and that kind of thing is not going to get people's attention and hold it. Whereas if you're an up and coming designer and you haven't worked on much yet, but you're putting your time in and you want to do it, you're passionate, then if you show someone in a reel that, hey, I'm serious, then they'll look at that stuff and say, okay, cool, they're obviously worth looking at. So, I don't know, I think I'm okay with this. I'm okay with it being there. So, let's see here. Matt says, of the trio of demo reels, putting the SFX one on the bottom makes me think you're more music focused and not sound design. Yeah, so you're definitely music focused for the purpose of your site. Okay, cool. All right, so I think we'll look at everything, but what a good tune. I'll look at your sound design reel first, I think. This is the whole thing. I like this a lot. Or can you click these titles? Do they show things? Oh, you do. Oh, what's up? Cool. There's like more things to look at too. Trailers. This is nice. I like this a lot. It's attractive. Okay, so we'll look at sound design reel first, and then I might look at the other ones too. But we'll just do this, I guess. Play. Full screen. And up in volume. Am I turned down right now in Chrome? I probably am. Here we go. Turning up in Chrome, and I will pull this back to the beginning and make sure my sidechain is... How is my mic off? How about that? Let's listen through. Yo, 54 seconds. Someone's been watching Real Talk. Let's have a look at this. Let's go.
Activate spell card.
We watched the whole thing. That doesn't happen very often. Thanks, Gabe. All right, so let's bring up our criteria as we always look at here. So I've got presentation to talk about, material selection, content quality, and distinction. So I think most people here know what we're going through anyways, but I will just do a very, very quick recap as far as what to look at. Presentation is kind of the whole thing. So we've already been talking about that with the website a bit, and we'll talk a bit more about the actual reel itself. And then material selection is kind of what's in here, what that says about Gabe. Content quality is, you know, just the goodness of what you're showing, if it's kind of if it's at the industry standard of awesome, basically. And then distinction is if you're standing out at all in your reel or on your site or at all. Okay, so let's look at presentation first, real quick on the site. We talked about that. I like it a lot. I think that Matt mentioned having these things linked to what you want to see is maybe worthwhile, or having something at the top that, you know, makes it go and scroll down to your credits or something. That might be worthwhile. But there's not much. There's not much here in the first place. It's pretty like trimmed back. So you're probably okay with this as it is. Like I have no problem with this site. It's very tasteful. As far as the reel goes, though, let's have a look. We start out right away, and so there's no bookend, which is maybe risky, because if you send this reel to somebody, yes, it's in the title, but like
Spell card.
There's no immediate indication of whose it is. So yeah, title cards at the front and back, like boom here. Yeah, 54 seconds. So you have like 3 seconds on each side to spare for a minute. Go 3 seconds of Gabe Castro sound design, and your email address on both sides can't possibly hurt, and the absence might hurt you. So I would do that for sure. As far as like these title cards and stuff, they're really functional.
Spell card.
Let me turn this down for a second. These like, you know, Arial font, whatever, cards are fine. They're functional. They're not really interesting at all. They could probably say what they shipped on, because I'm assuming when you ship these games, right? I mean, on the front page, or your main page, your page, period, you've got all these games you worked on. So I'm assuming that these are things that you did sound design for shipped projects, right? So you could probably do something like, in the past we've said, just put in parentheses by the title, iOS or Xbox or PC or Steam or whatever. And I think that alone says this shipped. It's enough implication to say this thing shipped and this is my work on this shipped title. So sound design and creature voices. Did you do implementation, Gabe? Like Fmod or Wise or Unity or whatever? And okay, Rio says the problem I'm seeing with the text in the bottom left via the embedding, like we are now, YouTube play button's there. Yeah, it's tricky. There's the lower third thing is probably a better choice, like having it here, not like in the very bottom corner, because yeah, there's like, I mean, I'm not a video editor, but there's something called like it's like safe limits or something like that. And generally, you put things that are important kind of in this region here, and not in like the edge, for reasons like this and other hardware reasons. But the cards are really forgettable, and that's kind of it's the kind of thing that people aren't going to hire you like for your ability to make good-looking cards, but your site looks slick. So to be absolutely honest, this card thing in the corner kind of surprised me, because this is very different than everything else you've shown as far as your ability to like be aware of visual presentation and such, and just more details, more skills across different areas just shows more attention to detail on the whole, and again, can't possibly hurt you. Whereas something like this, people might draw conclusions like, oh, they're just lazy and don't really care about this bit, and they might wonder how far that reaches, right? As far as like what you're showing, I gotta ask, why isn't... Oh, I probably know the answer, but I was gonna say, why isn't the forest in there? But you probably did music, right? Yeah, music, sound design. Okay, there we go. So this is the sound design reel. Okay, so let's talk. I mean, we got 13 seconds of this, moves on, and I guess a bit more than that. But it's like 3 things total. Is it 3? 3 things. Yeah, cool. So 3 things in 50 seconds. Good to go. Sounds awesome. Safe zone also is TRC TCR on consoles for HUD elements. I don't know what that stands for. What's TRC and TCR, man? I don't know what those acronyms are. We're all learning here. Okay, so let's look at material selection. So I don't know what you did if you're just content creation. So, yo, Damon says, could try to unify your visual design so that the cards in the reel would look like the info cards on the page. Totally, yes. So make it like this. Be killer. Have like the red going on or something. Like have it, or even just like a tinted red or something. Just to show that you have a general idea of this is your entire presence, and it's kind of one unified element. I like this idea a lot. Cool, Damon. Awesome. So back into the reel. As far as material selection, again, I don't know what you did for implementation, so having an idea of like content creation in parentheses, if that's all you did, is maybe worthwhile. If you did do Fmod or did do Wise or Unity implementation or whatever, then that's super useful to know. Like sound design here, okay, that's good, but like having an idea of how deep in the team you were is often pretty relevant. And just more concise. It just tells more precisely what your role was, right? Which is usually a good choice. That's pretty much it. Okay. So Jay says technical requirements checklist. TRC, thank you for PS4 Xbox requirements for. Oh wait, PS4 Xbox requirements for Xbox One. Right, I understand. It's the things you need to do to release on console, aka console standards. Got it. TRC, technical requirements checklist. I've never heard that set of words before. I've just heard like cert and such. All right, got it. Let's talk about content quality, shall we? I have notes. Let's crank this back up. Full volume, all right? And I'm not going to talk. We'll play this full volume. I'm going to turn mine down, though.
Activate spell card!
I wonder if I can do something here. Give me a second. I'm gonna try something new right now. First time ever, on the fly. Real talk, it's happening, okay? Let's do it.
Activate spell card.
Alright, so here's what we're going to do right now. I am going to grab this. I've printed the audio in a track in Pro Tools, okay? So I have it right here. I have the audio ready to go. I'm going to consolidate this and export this as a 4416 wave into my public folder on Dropbox. It's called Audio 1705. Pretty good name for a audio region, if I do say so myself. This is going to be about 3, 2, 1. I should have access to it pretty soon here. And activate spell card. We know. Here it comes. Are you ready? It's coming up now. Let's have a look at Isotope RX, shall we? Boom. Here is your mix. This is a bit crazy, man. And I'll tell you why. This stuff is out of control up top. Okay? This, I'm not sure if you're familiar with spectrograms and such, but anyone in the chat who's unfamiliar with this view, this is called a spectrogram. It is a graphic representation of frequency content, and it shows you the same thing as a wave does, but also in terms of frequency, all right? So this is, of course, time and loudness. You've all seen this before. The spectrogram is the same thing, as you can see, but it also shows you frequency from top to bottom. So the top is all treble down to the bass, as you can see, 20K down to 20 hertz. So this is now what we're looking at. This is your mix.
Activate spell card.
All right, this, let's show that by itself. By itself. Yeah, it's rough. It's really rough, man. I would be very careful of this kind of thing. Like bringing it down in the mix.
Activate spell card.
That's way better. Like it's keep in mind there's something called the Fletcher-Munson curve, and it's it's somewhat the Fletcher-Munson curve, but it's also just the natural fact that we hear higher pitched things more efficiently as humans. And if you have things like this, for example, that is the whistle of the arrow flying in, I'm pretty sure, if I recall. Yep, that's a whistle, all right. So this whistle is really quite loud for what frequency it is. So keep in mind, think about sirens in the street. The reason that sirens are so high pitched, it's not any coincidence that they are high-pitched and we hear them very easily. They are high-pitched because humans hear high-pitched things more easily. That's why alarms are like that. So if you have a wave at, like, let's see, okay, if I have a, actually I can do this very easily. I'm going to make a new aux really fast here. A mono aux. Actually, I'll make it stereo. Stereo aux. And I will bring in a signal generator, okay? Here's our signal generator at minus 20 dB. If I play like 100 hertz, okay, that's how loud so if I were to tell you, okay, rate this loudness of this tone from 1 to 10, pick a number. I don't care what the number is, all right? Now this is at minus 20 dB. This is a sine wave at this amplitude, and I'm not gonna change the amplitude, it's gonna be the same amplitude. If we crank it up, there's like 500 hertz. Seems louder, right? Let's go higher. That's 1K. That's 5K. 7K. You get the idea. It gets pretty horrible pretty fast, but it's the same. It is the same amplitude the entire way through. So you need to be aware that I suspect you're looking at loudness on this thing as your main kind of idea of where, like, how loud a sound should be. Like it's X dB, but you can't think that way. You need to think in terms of just like perception of sound and trust your own ears. So if you have something like this whistle, you need to keep in mind that this whistle is heard very efficiently by human ears, and you don't need to have it the same volume as something like that, because it's about the same brightness, right? You can see it's kind of like a bright orange there and bright orange here, but like this sounds way louder by comparison to this. So, like I had with your scrape here of the sword, right? You can easily take this whole thing and pull it back like a lot, and you're still gonna hear it. Like, it's not like we lost the fact that it's a sword scrape kind of sound effect, right? It's a high pitched thing, and we still hear it because humans hear high pitched things efficiently. Got it? And the thing is, so this is a very common thing across your whole reel. There's a lot of high pitched stuff. If we play it through, you can see there's like equal kind of distribution for a lot of higher stuff here and there compared to lower stuff. Lower stuff is like fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not obnoxious or anything, right? But if we go here, like there's all this high pitched stuff. I'm gonna assume it's a little bit abrasive. It's not the worst one in the reel, but it's up there. And across the whole thing, all these hits and such, they're really broadband. And if you go quieter in general, you can probably, yeah, you can get away with it, but it's risky, man. It's really risky. And as soon as you have that kind of distribution, and tones especially, it can get abrasive real fast. Yeah, so that's the idea at least. And so Matt's TLDR, get your damn mix in check, yeah. So the whole thing, there's not much dynamic range. It's like the whole time. And I think you could probably afford to decide like what sounds are most important to hear and need to be loud, and which sounds could be quieter and just help build the world out. There's a lot of stuff in here that does not need to be as loud as everything else.
Activate spell card.
It's like the whole thing, and then later on the same thing with these with the fighting stuff. And that said, like maybe for a fighting game, it's more appropriate that it's like really in your face the entire time. But even so, if it's in your face the entire time, you still gotta be aware of your highs. Like those hits, there's a lot of highs in there that are pretty punchy and like maybe a bit too much so. It could be a subjective thing, but in my opinion, I would be careful of having a sound effect heard that often have that kind of frequency distribution. It's a bit bold. All right, so I'm looking at the chat here, guys. So I've been like rambling on for a bit here. So Ali Listen says, search for sonicvisualizer.org, free software from a Scottish university. It's an amazing tool for introducing spectral analysis. Cool. I have not heard of that. I'm looking at that right now myself, actually. I'll write that down. sonicvisualizer.org. Got it. Thanks, Ali. All right, and RX is great, of course. Excuse me. Yeah, I tend to throw things through RX in general just to kind of for a sanity check. If you see big bright areas, you go, ooh, should probably pull that back. Because it's even possible for VO for like their beat to be in some voiceover clip. There's like one S that just happened to stick out a lot, and it's the kind of thing where like your DS are on the track, like maybe taking care of most of it, but there's like one S that just happens to be kind of whistly and it's a little bit weird. RX is great for just taming those kind of weird anomalies. All right, so yeah, Jay says you can do it in Audacity if you want. Yeah, you can't change anything in the spectrogram in Audacity, but you can look at it, and it's useful. It's not amazing, but it's okay. The fidelity is pretty low.
Meditation complete.
What's up, Game Audio Hour? Welcome to our Game Audio Hour of Real Talk. We've got, assuming I mix with my ears and perception-based, what's comfortable for me, is this a problem that comes about with a lot of compression? Sean, I don't understand. You're saying, now assuming I mix with my ears / perception based on what's comfortable for me. So you're saying on your own personal perception? Is this a problem that comes about with a lot of compression? Well, here's the thing. If you compress something a lot, then it's compressing all the frequencies, right? So yeah, it can be that. If perhaps you had a sound that's like pretty good where it is, and by pretty good, this full width is, by the way, the spectrum of frequencies, right? So if you pull, if it's this level, the highs are in a good spot, and you pull all of it up, then yeah, you might need to like do an EQ thing to have the meat of the sound that you're compressing at the level you want it at, but with the highs at a tasteful level rather than being like, everything's louder now, you know? That could be an issue, if that's what you're talking about. Feel free to clarify if I've misinterpreted your question. So, I noticed all 3 games are pretty loud and lighthearted. I wonder if you have something more atmospheric in your library to show attention to detail. Yeah, so loud and lighthearted, and detail is something that quieter sounds can often kind of take care of in that respect. But if it's a lot of loud all the time, then it's hard to get a gauge for your aptitude for dynamic range. And being a composer, I would assume you have some experience in that as far as having like quieter things in some places and louder things in other places. It's no different for sound design. It's the same thing. And what's up? I saw Jeff rolling earlier. What's up, Jeff? I didn't say hi. I apologize. I was in the middle of a rant. And Joey Goddard as well. What's up? And one Mr. Bean. Holy. Getting a good crew in here. A very good crew. And Cole as well. Jesus. All right. So that's pretty good as far as content quality, I think. Let me know if you have any more questions about that, Gabe. As far as distinction goes, well, yo, you have a pretty damn good portfolio, man. The Forest is a big one. Real big. I'd like to hear your music one really fast, just to get an idea. You have an 80s music reel? I didn't even read that before. Amazing. Let's have a look at these really fast. It's a minute. Yo, cool. Yeah, cool. Hell yeah. Super into that. Similarly, it's all very balls to the wall. That might be okay. But this one surprised me, honestly, when I went, yo! I did not expect to hear like this after the metal. That was awesome. Like the hard guitars into the chiptune stuff. It's killer. It's very good for showing your versatility. Nice work. It's your 80s. Big fan of that around here, right? Good transition. Body break. Yeah, Jeff, totally. That was killer. I'm into it. I'm really into it. Do you have a Bandcamp or SoundCloud? You do. Look at this. Boom. Bandcamp. Gabe Castro Bandcamp. I will be hanging out here for sure. It's killer. I'm really into that stuff these days. Same notes regarding titles. Same notes regarding book ending. Just feels like it ends kind of unceremoniously, but otherwise, yeah, great work. Really into it. I think I'm gonna carry on from here into Rob's, unless Matt has some notes. Oh yeah, I saw Rio say as well with the music thing that you can start with the forest and hook them in. That might be a worthy note. Is like, I mean, just like your website. I mean, you did it here for good reason, right? Like, why is it here? Because, why is it here? Because it is the most well-known one, of course. So I would agree. It's probably worth putting your forest first. It is. It's kind of a cool way to cap off the reel, but I think it's better served as the first one. Yeah, it's a good note. Really nice. Okay, let's carry on to Rob Brown. Yes, one more round of applause. Some clappers in the chat, please, for Gabe Castro. Nice work, man.